In a limited partnership.
For the lifetime?
If it's 35 years in the limited partnership and it has an extension time for 30, you can keep extending it and extending it, they have to pay the taxes on all of it.
So are they going to do it?
What do you think the IRS is going to do to them? Make them pay it.
So, I mean, if they know that, they're not going to do it. They're not going to.
No, the problem is they think that most LPs, they can do this. 99.999% of all limited partnerships, they can do that. If it doesn't have the 89% rule or a 98% rule in the limited partnership, they can force the sale and destroy it.
Can't you also put a clause in that says that they can retain earnings?
Oh, I didn't get to that part yet. That was the disbursement part. This limited partnership does not have to disperse the funds, because it's holding the funds, and the general partner can hold the funds for future gain of the limited partnership, meaning that it withholds it and reinvests it into something else. So if it's sold $1.2 million, because I like that figure, and then was supposed to pay taxes on that $1.2 million, it doesn't have to pay taxes on that $1.2 million unless it disperses the money. If it does not disperse the money and it reinvests it, it doesn't have to pay taxes on the $1.2 million.
So if you just pay bills out of it.
No, the limited partnerships are used to hold properties or to hold something.
I know, but I mean, if you want
Like
to
apartment
get
complexes.
something out of it.
You don't have to, well, if you want to get something out of it, it's different. There's different ways to do things. It depends on what your structure is. If you put a $1.2 million apartment building in there, that limited partnership would probably control, one would control the property. The second would control the lease agreements. Okay? And then let's see. Does everybody understand? A limited partnership is a nice thing. It can be an FLP or it can be called an LP. As long as it has those rules in it, AAA collections will hate you.
That's what I was saying. They wouldn't try to foreclose or anything, would they?
They don't know it. They don't have the document. Okay, you hear all these people, I'm not giving them my information. I'm not giving them my document. Lots of people that write trusts say, oh, they don't have to see the document. Okay? They refuse to give it. Guess what happens? It has no power whatsoever. No power. But let's say you have a trust. I like trusts. They're good for a couple things. I like business trusts. Okay? I like those. I like irrevocable business trusts. Irrevocable. That's trying to get that right. Irrevocable business trust. Meaning once something's placed in it, you can't take it back out. It's in there. Now, the trustees can vote whether or not to sell it or not. But whatever property you place into this, it's in there. Okay. The thing I like about irrevocable is the IRS. Okay, this is funny. There's a difference between revocable and irrevocable. Revocable means once you do the transaction and once it is notarized, how do you transfer property into a trust is the first thing people need to know. Any suggestions? Okay, that's one. Any other suggestions?
Deed.
That's what quitclaim is.
Well, quitclaim doesn't mean release it.
Right. Well, there's two ways. What was that? Well, there's two ways. One is you do it on what's called a Schedule A or Exhibit A. Okay, which is a list that is placed in the trust at the last page of the trust with the legal description of the land. That transfers the property immediately into the trust. The second is to convey it by quitclaim or warranty deed. Also. And the third, if you're husband and wife, there's a third thing you do. These two are good. But if you're husband and wife, you got to do one more. You got to do a list of his and hers. And you do initials. All down is who owns what between both of them. What goes into what trust. And you sign it. These two are the transfers. This is the papers of intent that shows their intent was and where what was supposed to go where. Intent is good. They can't, now if you take a little tape recorder and you tape record the meeting of everything, guess what? Now you got your, not only do you have your intent, but they can listen to the tape and figure out exactly what your intent was from the tape. Tape recording is a good thing. Nixon just liked to do it a little too much. You know, I find it really strange that they still haven't released 2 years of tapes that he had. They're in his archives and where he had his archives at, but they haven't released those to the public yet. Okay, so now you have how the intent of transferring items into a trust. It's very simple. You either do it on Schedule A or you do it on Exhibit A, listing the legal description of the property.
How is something taken out of Schedule A?
Sell it.
Well, the trust has to then sell it, and the trustees of this, see, this business trust has 2 trustees. Both trustees have to be in agreement to sell anything out of the property. Okay? So you have to be in agreement. The 2 trustees have to be in agreement to do anything. So guess what happens? They can't say that it's a self-dealing trust. That it's an alter ego. See, now most instances, most people put all their stuff, put their house over here in wife's name. Husband gets sued, he's a doctor. He gets sued for $50 million in malpractice. 50 mil. His malpractice insurance is only 20 mil. His house is 3.5 mil. He thinks his house is safe. It's in his wife's name, not his name. It's hers. It's her before he got married. The court will find that the husband, wife, is the constructive trustee of the husband's estate, making it so it has to go to them. And they lose everything. 90% of the doctors do that. Which makes the wife the constructive trustee of the husband. Therefore, she is an alter ego of the husband because they consider her a yes man. Oh, that's good. So they consider her the yes man because the wife's going to do whatever the husband says. Those judges have never been married. Oh. Huh? Oh, no, I'm having fun.
Actually, I'd be fine just maybe down there.
All right. That sounds like a life career ambition.
It is. That's why I'm not going to work anymore.
Finish the husband and wife suit. Do we get to finish that?
I did finish it.
Well, no, you said.
They get to take the house.
Right, but what's
They're
the,
gonna take the house, but what do you do? What's that?
No, you lost it all because the house was the wife was the constructive trustee.
but what is the advantage of having a husband and one instead of just transferring it to the wife?
Oh, well, there's different. I'm going to go into transferring later.
Okay.
Right now, I'm going to answer one question because somebody said something that I don't think anybody in this room knows, and he even dealt with insurance. Really funny. IRS code is funny. It's so funny. People like to look at it and see what it means to them.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they turn around and profess that that's what it means. Okay? Life insurance. What does they tell you goes? Uh-oh. See, I start talking about life insurance and it doesn't want to write. So don't tell them this. Okay, we'll go green. I have life insurance, right? Revenue code 1001 says all life insurance is tax-free. Right? So what do all life insurance people tell you? Buy as much life insurance as possible. Buy it, man. It's tax-free. Well, they never failed to turn the page, did they? Because Revenue Code 1002, all life insurance will be taxed at a rate of 54%.
What? That's what I said.
Right? So they're telling IRS, said, hey, come on, buy as much of that as possible. What's the number one thing that IRS collects every year? That 54% tax on the life insurance.
How can they get away with telling people it's tax-free?
Because it is, unless it looks like this, which this code states what it looks like.
Okay, what is it?
Oh, it's really simple. It is. All life insurance. With the exception. The exception is an irrevocable life insurance trust. If the life insurance, or irrevocable life insurance trust, okay, is the owner of policy, okay, and the minions, your children, whoever you want, beneficiaries, are listed in the trust. Oh man, I'm dying. These pins are dead. Okay, we're going to blue now. Dying fast. Somebody better go give me another pen.
Keep that lid on there while you're talking, right?
No, these have been used too much. Okay, you got the life insurance, the beneficiaries, okay, are your kids. Now, it can go tax-free. That's the misconception. And you're shaking your head.
I'm just going, yeah, because that is what they tell us in the industry is that, they tell us that life insurance is tax-free, man, buy it up, and when it pays out, that it's, you don't owe any tax on it, but it's a big misconception.
Yeah. So there. That's one group of businesses thinking that one section of the code means something and didn't read further into the code. They only read far enough to get what they wanted to be a good sales point.
Maybe the guys that created it knew what they were doing and they just said it that way.
No. The IRS made it publicly for 4 years. They made it public. They said, from now on, from this point forward, we will not tax life insurance. They waited 5 years. Then they wrote an amendment to the code taxing it at a 54% interest rate. They let you get away with something for a while. They tell you it's free, like corporate souls right now.
I wonder why they wanted EIN.
So, that's the problem. Certain groups think certain things. Other groups think other things. That depends on how they all mix together. One thing before I go into the credit manipulation of how the credit bureaus find your file within their system and how duplicate files are created. I'm going to do that, but right before that, somebody asked me a question. Okay, if you have a corporation here, actually corporate 1 or corporate 2, here's corporate 1. Okay, corporate 1, corporate 2 decide to form a limited partnership. And one of the limited partners is a person or citizen, however you want to say it. Okay? And then this limited partnership then goes into Texas to do business and doesn't file. For the requirements is whatever is in here is protected because the corporations are protected in Nevada. The limited partnership could be filed in Nevada, it's protected in Nevada. If they take it into Texas and it's not filed, then the person can go represent it as an unlicensed, unregulated partnership.
They can go into Texas.
No, then they could go in the Texas court and represent the limited partnership, even though that it was formed. The people that form it are the corporations, but that doesn't matter because Texas, these aren't listed in Texas, so Texas therefore can't see them because they didn't file in the Secretary of State's office. They didn't register as a foreign corporation or a foreign entity or a foreign limited partnership. So none are registered here. So basically, as soon as they cross the border, they're a general partnership. So any of the partners in the partnership would then be able to represent them in court.
Because Nevada law doesn't require that?
Well, Nevada law does, but if it's not licensed in Texas, it's a general partnership if it's not registered as a foreign limited partnership. Texas is going to see it as it's not a regulate. You don't even have to file the LP. These three people can form it and don't even have to file the LP. And it's an LP still. But your whole thing is you wanted to represent it in
When you say that don't have to file, are you talking about with the IRS or are you talking about with the state?
with the state.
Okay.
You don't have to file an LP. If they want you to file an LP, you can file it, but there's certain things that you have to do or be guided by it to file it. As long as the limited partnership is notarized when it's conceived.
At the state level.
No. Document level. When it's notarized before, and documents are notarized, the corporations put their seal, because everything a corporation does has to have its seal on it. Because its seal is its signature. And then if you're forming it with corporations, these two corporations have to put the resolutions to form the LP with this person to form it. Somebody has to sign for the corporation, so they sign for the corporation. Then the corporation puts its seal on top of their signature. Now you see that somebody signed for them, but you really can't make out the signature because the stamp just altered it and made it become the corporation. So then for the party that was bringing that up, then in Texas, because this is an unlicensed limited partnership in the state, not having Secretary of State's seal or any documents from the Secretary of State, they would consider that any partner in the partnership would be able to represent its stuff in court if it got attacked for any reason.
Because now it's looked as a general.
Right.
So it's not safe.
No, it's still 100% safe. It still has the clauses of all the clauses that the limited partnership has. It just is not filed with the Secretary of State in Texas. Therefore, the person can walk into court if it gets sued and defend it.
Now, does the same thing work, say, in Kansas or?
Yeah, anywhere. I mean, see, the thing is, structures can form structures. Okay? One corporation can request a 10. It gets a 10. And from that point on, that corporation can request 10s for other corporations. Now there's no Social Security numbers linked to any of the 10s after the 10s are created. Which is the advantage of security or privacy. Okay? The most stupidest thing everybody does is when they go down and file a DBA. Everybody know what a DBA is? All right. Everybody knows it's doing business as. Everybody walks down. They'll put C Corp. All right. I got to get another pen. Someone get a pen. This is going to make me crazy. Okay. You got your corp. They're filling out the applications for the DBA. DBA is this corp. And what do? They're stupid. They sign their name. No. It's a corporation. They put the corporation's name down. They sign for the corporation. They put the seal on it. The corporation requested it, not a person.
What if they don't let you do that?
Well, the whole thing is to have anonymity. If a corporation requests a TIN number of whatever it requests a TIN number for to do business, or a TIN number, either one. If it's doing business, the whole thing is that your likelihood of getting sued is 0% if it doesn't do business with the public. Okay? Whatever you are doing, if you're doing business, whatever you're doing business as, if it's doing business with the public, you have 100% liability. Someone can get mad and sue you. You know? If a corporation requests a DBA for another corporation, now on the form it says some officer of that corporation has to sign it. So they sign. Okay? That makes the fulfillment of the document. Then, in order to take, the corporation is requesting it, the corporation has to lay its seal on top of the person that just signed for it, giving it the authorization to do it. Now, the only one that they can legally make out is that the corporation requested the DBA. Giving whatever the DBA is, nobody knows who owns it except for this company.
Is that a parent company? Is that what they call
It could be considered a parent company. If a corporation requests a DBA for another company, it's the parent company. Once this gets a TIN number, it is then severed from the parent company and is no longer a piece of it.
You do the same thing with FLPs. FLP can request another.
10.
Well, in FLP it really doesn't work. Because an FLP doesn't have a seal. Well, it can have a seal. It depends on what you do. They're a pass-through entity. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with LPs in conjunction with different things.
Otherwise, that DBA would be using the same TIN number?
Okay, I'm going to get into that in a minute. But right now we're going to go back to you're going to see why you do that in about a half hour. Why that's something that's really neat. And why you'd want to. First of all, the credit bureaus find you by your current name, first name. Well, red will work. Okay, your first name, middle name, last name. Then it goes current address, previous address. Okay. Current address, previous address. No, social is the very last thing, has nothing to do with the file. Okay, so it goes through this, it goes through a system of finding these. The very last thing in the file that it looks at is the SS number. You do not need to give them an SS number to find your credit file.
Oh,
Although they always ask for it.
yeah.
Right. But guess what? Section 602 of the Fair Credit Reporting Act says that everything has to be fair and equitable to the consumer. So if they didn't ask you for which Social Security number that they are listing, it's a violation of the Privacy Act for them to have you disclose what one it is that is yours. And because of that, Section 602B, it's not fair and equitable to the consumer. It's up to the credit bureau to decide which one is your Social Security number.
Whoa, well, we sent through information and they sent back a whole list of things they wanted to know about us before they would tell us anything. They wanted social security.
I'm sorry, you never apply. You do not apply for the mail. You do not apply, or I'm sorry. You never apply through the mail for a credit report. It'll drop your FICO score 100 points.
We heard that was on the internet, not by mail.
What? No, we never heard the 100. We never heard that.
Why does it drop your FICO score 100 points?
Because if you request the free report, you're poor.
Oh, no, it wasn't free.
You're filthy rich if you pay the 25 bucks to get a tri-merge. Your score goes up. If you have a credit card, let's say you have 2 credit cards. No questions right now. Just wait. It'll be explained. Okay, so this goes down 100 points. If you have a credit card and you have several credit cards, you take and make a $1,001 payment to a credit card. The $1,001 payment, you send it to them and you call them up on the phone. You say, I want immediate placement of that payment on my report. That'll make your score go up 75 points up for every card you do it on.
Does there have to be a balance on the card too?
There has to be a balance doing on the card. If you pay it $1,001, it'll jump the FICO score 75 points.
Even if the balance is under the $1,000?
Doesn't matter. You paid it. They have to post the payment. If you pay over $1 over $1,000, they have to post it.
So you call and ask.
You call and ask them to immediately post your payment towards your credit report. That makes the FICO score go up 75 points. So you almost corrected your mistake for taking the wrong report.
You call the card, or you call the.
The bank that has the card,
You call them.
you make the payment to the bank,
Right.
and then they immediately deduct it from the amount wherever they deduct it from. Then you ask them to immediately post that payment to your credit report. Then it goes up 75 points. For each card you do that to.
So there has to be $1,001.
The dollar amount has to be 1,001.
Or more.
For each 1,000, it has to be $1 over the 1,000 if you're paying off the whole card.
Is that above what your balance was, or is that not in?
It can be above the balance that you have. If it's $900 and you pay 1,001, they're going to credit your account the 1,001, which means they're going to show it out reflecting the payment on your credit report, which boosts the score immediately to 75 points.
What do you use when they say, well, we're going to credit it on your regular billing date?
You just ask them to credit the account immediately. They'll do it.
You do the same thing on the
They're going
mortgage
to
line?
say why.
They're not going to say why. They're going to do it. The people that ask them to do this, they immediately do it because they asked them to do it. Why? Because it's $1,001, so you must be rich, so we better leave their ass alone. They have money to sue. What?
You do the same thing on a mortgage loan?
Yes. But you have to pay $1 over the amount and ask them to immediately post the payment.
Over the amount due.
Yeah, if the amount due, whatever the